The 1994 Nats was held in Lubbock, Texas. I had gone down with Jim Damarel, and we had adventures within adventures within adventures before we even got there. And it turned out that after the whole Nats was over, I looked back at the video I shot, and I'm sharing this now. This is the final fly off, but I do remember the wind was howling for a lot of the time. We were, among other things, we just had adventures in eating, and I'll get into that at some point in the video. And every part of this Nats turned out to be an adventure. It seemed like everybody had a great time, and I got to meet a lot of people from Texas that I normally would not have met and interacted with. From this point on in my life, I went to Texas 4 more times as the guest of Richard Oliver, and Texas is one of the greatest places if you fly stunt. Now, during this time, and you got to look back 1994, this was a whole different setup than when now that the Nats are held in different places. But this was a very special thing. I had never been to Texas before. So for me, even the trip down there was exciting, and going past the pyramid in Tennessee, and we just had a great time down there. We also had, and I don't remember, I think it was right as you enter Texas, they had a big sign that if you could eat the whole steak, it was free. And it was like a 5-pound steak or whatever it was. Well, Jim tried to eat it, and he didn't win. We had to pay for the steak. That was how it started. Then we also got to our motel in Lubock, and it was late at night, and we get in and we unload the planes, and in the lobby there's a TV playing. It says, "Oh, watch out now, been a giant shooting on Q Street," or whatever street it was. The streets in Lubbock are numbered or lettered or whatever. And as we're watching this on TV, we hear gunshots go off. And the guy says, "You're on Q Street. This is where all the action is." And, or whatever street it was. But nothing bad happened. It was just like being in New York City. And we really had a great time. There was just, as I look back at this, and this is basically just the appearance judging of the 94 Nats, it was exceptional. We had a lot of fun. We made some new friends. And I was into the beginning of my time that I fell in love, right in the middle of it, fell in love with Reno Air Racers. There were some beautiful semi-scale planes there. There was, of course, some great line stunners. And this was the year I flew Tsunami, and this was just great memories. I don't know how to say it other than just, as I look back, great memories.
Don't bother.
Wow.
But basically, it's a stunt airplane. You know, it's the numbers are stunt. Even though it doesn't look it, it's got a hellacious amount of tail volume, and you know, good airfoil.
Nice pilot too, just like the Dauntless.
Well, actually, that's a portrait, and the reason I did him
Let's see if we can zoom in on
was
it.
this pilot was 73 years old, and that's no exaggeration.
Really?
Yeah, he was the group commander of the 153rd. That's what the CL
We gotta get this on.
But he was still flying at the end of the war. Yeah.
Well, you know,
at the
with
end of the Italian War, that was 1943.
yeah, with the fact that the air's been so bad, we've gotten to see a lot of other events we never get to see, and we really had
Yeah.
a good time seeing them.
That's right.
I really, I have to say, a lot of these other events are really interesting and fun. We went over to indoor
Oh, yeah.
rubber band events.
That stuff is neat.
Oh, man. That is one piece of work, let me tell you something. Whether they ever appreciate it or not, who really gives a shit?
Yeah, like I say,
I appreciate it.
I don't beg him for that. I mean, I'd like to be on the front row, let's face it, but
Well, if
it would compromise, you know, I'd have to build.
it was known how many hours of work went into that, maybe that would be all possible and practical, who knows?
Well, the judging parameters are different than they were back in the 50s when I first started doing this.
Yeah.
And I know that, so.
60.
Tiger 60?
Yep.
Now, as I'm looking back at this footage, and it's great memory for me, I remember when I came up with this thought of doing Tsunami, and I thought I had sketches in my mind and sketches on paper, and my brain was frying. There were a couple of things I was very, very aware of, that painting that wave on the rudder, and boy, was that ever a labor of love. The lettering, I wanted to, there are two versions of Tsunami, a silver one, silver and blue. I wanted the second one. I tried to make this as semi-scale as possible, and Big Jim convinced me, just use a Pattern Master wing and tail and everything else will be fine, and he was right. This plane, as I remember, flew pretty good, and a lot of other people got to fly it, and they seemed to be convinced too it was a pretty decent plane. But it was one thing, it was, to me, it was my second, if I remember right, what I tried to make a semi-scale Reno Air Racer out of Pattern Master Aerodynamics. Now, as always, at any Nats or at any Brodex, I always use the appearance judging, or even at VSC. I always like to look around for some new paint job ideas and some new things that maybe I want to build in the future, or different things I want to incorporate into my next design. But this time in my life, I was consumed with the Reno Air Racers, and I was already dreaming of what would come next, and after that one, and after that one, and it was just no end to it. And to be honest, this was an exciting trip in so many ways. But the appearance judging, there was really a lot of beautiful planes there, and you can just look around and pick your favorite. But there was a lot of well-finished planes.
The flash goes off, John. You can't tell what's most of it.
It's just talking. Advertise the engine. Oh, I don't know how many engine. Hey, Alan.
But I think it's out from the north, 4 cars, exit 22.
Start another row in the front, another one in the back. This is still, what, an hour away or more?
Something like that, yeah.
They're all supposed to be here by 3, so I'm sure a good many of them are here that are going to be here.
Now, for anyone who might not be familiar with how they run an appearance judging at a national championships, the selected area, I don't remember if this was a gymnasium or what it was well lit though. Sometimes the places they pick are not well lit. And the people come in at a given time, and over the course of maybe an hour or two, they'll put the plane down wherever they want, wherever they feel they'll get the best look from the lighting. And then they all go to the pilot meeting, which usually lasts about an hour. The judges will put them in rows, starting with 20 points for the front row and ending with, and I don't remember what would be the lowest they give. It's not 0, that's for sure. But anyway, when you come back from the pilots meeting, the planes would be in the correct rows. The most attractive one would be in the front, second, third, whatever. Now, the pilots all get to vote on the concourse winner, and they announce the winner of the concourse at the banquet.
Yeah.
46 rigs for sale. Let's escalate away tonight if you want.
Ask him, yeah, buy the whole thing if he wants it.
How many rings are there?
I think there's 4. 3 or 4.
Go up and see the fans here. They'll go in the ashtrays. That's pretty presumptuous.
Somebody's got to be there.
Just have to move them less far that way. Should have said it this way. It's a little bit long.
Depending on what time they were done with the appearance judging and putting everything in rows, sometimes it would be appropriate. Some of the guys, or a lot of the guys, would run out to the field to try to get a practice flight before dark or before dinner, or both. And this, I remember back at this Nats, the wind was blowing an awful lot of the time, so you had to really pick and choose when you were going to go out to the field.
I haven't. You're never going to stop. There's 3 in a row. I just run up and ground the thing down to about 4 inches diameter. And a fellow went out right after me. Back to the same balls they're gone. You know, we'll run down $20 worth of graphite. Stick it.
Now, I want to be sure to thank both Len Burrell and Ray Dory that have contributed footage into our cause for posting these videos. We try to post a new video every Monday. Of course, time sometimes life sometimes get in the way at a time. And I try to include things that would appeal to everybody of every skill level. And all I can say is, looking back at these older pictures, older videos, I shot a lot of pictures, I shot a lot of video, and I'm so glad I did. And for the people that were at Lubock in 1994, I'm sure there's some good memories here. People that were not able to attend, I'm sure this video will at least fill in one of the gaps in your memory of model aviation. This was a very special Nats, a special time, and a special appearance judging. In every way it can be special. And of course, most of all, thanks to everybody that supports the channel and has supported it over the years, and for watching these videos. Thank you guys, one and all.